5, 4, 3, 2.
What makes you say that?
Hello, friends. Welcome to What Makes You Say That. This is episode 5. My name is Brian Williams, and I'm happy to be joined once again by my esteemed colleague and Green Bay Packer fan extraordinaire, Mr. John Kerr. How's it going for you today, John?
Hey, nice day today. Nice to be here.
Hey, around here, we like to warm up before the big game. So are you ready for this week's warm-up question?
I'm ready.
So this is related to the past week's check-in question, the check-in question to the community. What is your favorite BH tradition? Or perhaps what BH tradition are you missing the most right now?
Well, I've been there for a long time, and I will say without hesitation, my favorite BH tradition is the singing of Best Friends at the Doll Assembly.
Can't miss. It's a can't miss event.
You never know what's going to happen at a Doll Assembly, right? So, and Best Friends is a nice little capper.
Yeah, I think we'll get more into the Doll Assembly as we get close to this year's Doll Assembly. But as we've mentioned on pretty much every episode, there's quite the story behind this. But yeah, I agree. The Doll Assembly, there's never a dry eye in the building. Everyone leads very much reminiscing and wiping tears, I guess. But yeah, what a great tradition. And it's something that certainly is going to be different this year, but we're going to make it special. I know that we will. We do have a great episode planned for you today. We'll be catching up with our two principals, Mrs. Judith Steek and Mrs. Jodi Hafenbrak. We'll also hear from grade 5 student Alice Christopher, who will share her impressions of remote learning so far. And we'll get a couple highlights from specialists who have some very interesting things going on with our students. That and so much more. But the episode doesn't ever really start until we hear that quote.
So I'm missing my quotes, I'll tell you that, because normally I get to put 5 up a week and I'm only using 1 a week. So I've changed it 3 times. And this one came to me last night as I was reading Don Quixote with my children. And so this is Cervantes. And he said, "How can we know? The truth is, we never will. In life, we must content ourselves with guessing." So there's the quote today.
Well, again, what a great start to the episode. We're already thinking. So we usually begin the show by looking back at the week or looking ahead at this week and how it's been different. So John, we're 54 days in. What was different this week?
Well, not a lot, but I interestingly for me, I'm playing the piano and I've picked up a piece that was dedicated to my grandmother on my dad's side, and so it's an octern, and so I've been playing it, and that's basically what's changed. And I've also started playing some Handel too. So my changes are that I'm playing different pieces of music, but the music playing is still the same.
So did you get out of your house at all this week?
Just to see the snowbirds fly over from, my backyard, and just
very exciting.
Walks, but I'm still hunkered in here.
I'm very impressed that you've been able to do that and literally just leave for walks and bike rides. That is quite impressive. Kudos to you.
How about you?
You know what? I had the joy of doing, you can't see me, I'm doing air quotes, but the joy of doing yard work. Every year I'm reminded how little I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. And also being a repairman, I've installed a new doorknob. I had to reset some paver stones, change them from lights to paver stones. So I kind of felt very handy this week, which for me, and and you'll laugh, that doesn't happen very often. So I've been fixing some stuff. I even got my hands.
I might venture out on my bike and have a driveway visit with you just to get out of my house.
Yeah, hey, we can definitely do that. Yeah, you know where I live. Just give me a shout on your way. Other than that, it's been business as usual. 54 days in. We're happy to be joined now by the BH principals. We have the junior school principal, Mrs. Judith Steek, and middle senior school principal, Mrs. Jodi Hafenbrak. We'd like to welcome you both to the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. Thank you very much. How about you?
Good. And Judith?
And I'm just great. It's Happy Tuesday today.
Exactly. Well, the first question I have is, how much has your day-to-day job changed since we moved online? And maybe we'll start with Judith.
Well, it has changed an enormous amount, as has everyone's job. Obviously more screen time. And probably more significantly is not seeing people in real life. And as it is with any teacher, with anyone who works with students, it's the incredible relationship that we have with the students. It's kind of the day-to-day kinds of things that we develop with the students. And it happens, as well in middle school and senior school. It's those relationships that have really changed for me.
Absolutely. It's tough on everybody.
Yes, I still have them online to a certain extent, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, absolutely not. And Jodi?
I would agree with Judith. I think, life seems way busier, even though you're supposed to be at home. It's definitely lonelier. I would say that as well. I miss seeing everyone, but it is nice in the sense that it's really easy to sneak into classrooms now to kind of watch what's going on and see that piece of it. So I try to do that quite often, sneak into the classes and see what's going on. And it's been great watching students engage and conversations that are going on without them even really knowing that I'm there.
Yeah, you try to do that regular too, but we always find you, right?
Well, that was the thing when we were in school. I always knew when you were in the room.
Exactly.
Now you can pop in and I don't notice.
I was making that comment to someone else and saying, John doesn't even know when I go into his classroom anymore. I can go into really like stealth mode.
Yeah.
Well, we've always talked about open doors, and so that has not changed, and perhaps they're even more open now. So you talked a little bit about things that you missed, Jodi. What are some things about BH that you miss that maybe you didn't expect or that surprises you?
Please say me. Please say me.
I was going to say, I miss my conversations and always being on the defense when I'm talking with John about what kind of jokes and poking of fun is going to happen. I definitely do miss that, actually. I don't know if it's anything that necessarily surprises me. I really miss seeing the kids in the hallway every morning. I miss being there at 8:15 in the hallway to say good morning to girls, to tell them, pull up your socks and get to class. That's... I guess maybe how much I missed it is actually the surprising piece. It's the adjustment to learning or working from home has been a big one, I think, for everyone. And it surprises me just how much I actually really miss the building and miss the people that are in it, for sure.
Yeah, and Judith, I think you mentioned the same thing about relationships. So we all miss our students greatly, and I know that you alluded to that already. Is there anything that you miss about being at the school that maybe you didn't expect?
I think what Jodi says holds true for junior school as well. It's those really small details of your day, of somebody in kindergarten or grade 1 coming up and saying that they lost their tooth, or, someone has a scraped knee, or, something about their family. And it's those little kinds of, as I said, social relationships that you don't realize how much they are a part of, intrinsically a part of your job. And it's also, miss seeing the parents. I mean, I see them pretty much every morning, those who drop off and then the students on the bus. And it's all of those things that you miss. And it's the relationship with the teachers as well. And the feeling of BH that we all miss.
That's the thing about online, right? It's a different sensory experience. I was thinking about, there's different noises, there's different smells, right? But the sensory experience has changed immensely.
It has indeed. And you sort of don't realize it until you're in the whole. It's one thing to plan things, but then it's another thing to initiate it and what comes out of that.
So Judith, I imagine that you've been on some calls in the classes as well, just like Jodi was talking about. What have you learned about our junior school students, or even what have you learned from the junior school students since we began remote learning?
Well, I've been so impressed by their willingness and their flexibility to learn. the new platform, just getting technically connected, and just how they've connected with each other, and they've connected with the Zoom calls, and their commitment to completing their seesaw activities and all the tasks that their teachers have given them. And they're so creative. They've really, really stepped up to the plate to do that. And it's actually pretty inspiring for myself. And I know the teachers, they inspire us to keep moving forward and to learn and to keep up with them. I mean, they're so wonderful with technology. So it's been great.
It's funny. I had the privilege every now and then of hearing the grade ones start their classes. And I thought, They sound like the snowbirds checking in, audio on, camera on. It's pretty.
Yes. And, the teachers have worked hard to kind of train them for all of those things. And so it's an inspiring kind of thing that in this adversity that we can just continue on.
Exactly. And so, Jodi, I would assume the same things are happening in middle and senior. Do you have any specific examples of things that you've kind of gathered or maybe even things that you've learned from them?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned is how amazing our community is, to come together and support each other in this endeavor, how the faculty brought it all together very, very quickly to move from in class to remote learning, and how the kids have actually really engaged in it. I mean, I know it's frustrating for them at times, and they would rather be in the school and see their friends and see their teachers. But I really appreciate how well they've embraced the situation for what it is and have, kept up with things, especially our boarding girls, the girls who are gone home and they're in Japan and Finland and China, and how they're still keeping up. Well, we've got girls from China who are joining live meetings and, getting up in the middle
Absolutely.
of the night to do it. So the resilience and their commitment is truly astonishing. And I'm so proud of how we've come together as a community to be able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, John and I have talked quite a bit in these episodes about how impressed we are with the students showing their strength. And that's happening from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. As parents try to help and do their best, and I'm sure that they're working hard just like their daughters are. Do you have any advice, just, a sentence or two of advice, Jodi, for things that parents can continue to do to help their students move forward in middle and senior?
I think, in middle and senior school, students are a little bit more independent, so they may not necessarily need as much support from their parents. But I think the support that parents are giving to continue doing with that, continue encouraging them, even when things are hard, to keep going. The end of the year is in sight, and soon we'll all get a well-deserved summer break, whatever that may look like. But keeping in communication with teachers and with me when things aren't going well. We know that every family has a different story, and we can't necessarily guess what's going on in the households. So if things are happening to be a rough week, please let us know, let the teachers know, and we can help make adjustments and flexibility for their students as necessary, and for families as well. So I think that's what I would just encourage them to keep doing.
Yeah, every family has a different story. I think that's really good advice. So from a junior school perspective, Judith, is there anything that you could, any piece of advice for the parents continuing to help at home?
Well, I think everything that Jodi said, of course. I think with junior school, we understand that the support and the actual physical presence of parents throughout the remote learning is more significant just because of the age and the stage of students. But it's, to me, if they can stay connected as much as possible with the Zoom calls, which they have been doing, do what you're able to do in terms of the assignments and activities, and that we will support you. If you're having a difficult week or your situation is just very difficult, reach out to us. We understand, and we'll do what we can to support individual students, or, simply increase the amount of contact time. Simple things that can really make a difference. And I guess with young children, having the opportunity to to get out and get some good activity, whether it's walking, running, biking, skipping, whatever, just to have that time daily to run off some steam and have some fun together, because we know that this is incredibly challenging for all families in this remote learning time.
Yeah, well, that's great advice from both principals. So I think this is going to be a hit. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate that you're able to spend a little bit of time with us, give us some insight into your roles and how they've shifted. And I know the students are going to be happy they get to hear your voices. So thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. And thanks for you guys for offering this. This is, I listen to them every week. I love your banter. And as I said, I think you potentially could take the show on the road.
I agree.
Yeah, that's the plan. Check out
some
the tour.
Advertising revenue. Come on, Chris.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. We'll chat soon.
Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
See you.
How trivial.
Well, it's that time in the show where we like to test each other's knowledge on the BH staff and faculty. And last week, let me tell you, John, you pulled a fast one on me.
I may have, but as I mentioned, I did think about the psychology of it.
Well, I think it's time for redemption. And so I did step it up a little bit. And so I'm very excited to be asking the questions to you this time. Are you ready for clue number 1?
I'm ready.
All right. This BH staff member once worked as a fitness instructor.
Okay. It's funny, right? How your brain works. So you ballpark it, and then the second clue puts you in a totally different ballpark. But I'm gonna obviously need a second clue.
All right. Clue number 2. This BH staff member used to be in a band and even produced a record.
Okay. Different ballpark.
Totally unrelated.
But not the first person I was thinking of. But okay, let's go. Clue 3.
I mean, you can take a shot.
I don't see, but it's funny because I'll guess and they'll listen and they'll hear and they'll think, why does he think that I'm not?
Yeah, there's the psychology of the BHF trivia game is
we're gonna have to do this to guests.
Totally, absolutely.
So nerve-wracking. I feel like I'm watching a Packers game.
All right, clue number 3. This BH staff member once had a pet raccoon.
Well, now I don't even know if I should mention their name, but
as you can imagine, there are still some very amazing and exciting things happening throughout the school, different events. We've got 2 of our specialists talking about these things today. Carissa Balkan and Brenda Boonstra will share some of their highlights coming right up.
Hi, I'm Brenda Boonstra, and I am one of the production teachers in the new Center for Arts and Design. I've been running the recording studio this year, and now I'm doing this stuff from home. I have been itching to do some projects with kids and was thinking a lot about how I might bring some arts activities into the kids' lives. And I stumbled across this great website that has these really cool little dances that kids can learn. And I just was inspired by it. So I got in touch with the other production teachers, Miss Bedford Beasley and Miss K-Pack, and we decided to put together an awesome flex activity called the I'm Still Standing music video. So we created a Padlet, which is a great platform for kids to access and just see a really simple plan laid out for them. And so we posted up some steps for them to learn. Starting with learning just the song, listening to the song, and then as the flex activity rolls forward, the students work with Miss Bedford Beasley to learn the song, and then they work the following week with Miss K-Pack to learn the dance. And then all the while they can upload as as they go, they can upload some videos of themselves singing or dancing. And then there's also the option to just add any video that they feel might look good in the final music video. And so we've had a few kids join the Flex activity, but I guess the message I want to send to kids and families right now in middle school is that even if they weren't involved in the first stages of this activity, they are absolutely welcome to still come and get involved. All of the steps are on the Padlet, and they can find the Padlet link on the middle school Flex activity team's site. And everything is there. They can learn the song from there. They can learn all the steps. It's very possible for a kid to just work on their own, or they can access us at any time. We're ready to work with kids to make sure that everybody who wants to get involved with this project can get involved. And it should be really fun.
Hi, I'm Carissa Balcon. I'm the debate and public speaking teacher and program coordinator at BH. Debate is alive and well right now, and we're looking forward to sending Katya Jomo-Wanjep and Josie Oliver to the virtual junior high speech nationals this weekend. They'll be competing live, and they've also sent in some of their pre-recorded interpretive reading and persuasive speeches. So we're really excited for them, and I hope you'll give a shout out to the girls and support them this weekend in their challenges and their expertise in demonstrating public speaking to a national audience. We're also excited to send Katya Jomo-Wanjep and Lily Rich to the Junior Debate Nationals, which are also happening virtually from May 28th to the 31st. So debate is alive and well. And if you're a student looking forward to debating, we meet Wednesdays after school, and we'd love to see you there for a practice. Have a great week.
How trivial.
Well, I'm going to take a guess, and not because of the raccoon or because of anything, but I'm psychologically playing the mind game with you, and I'm going to go with one of Mila's teachers, Ms. Demchuk.
That is a good guess. It's not correct, but it's a good guess.
All right.
This individual also won first place in his grade 6 science fair. I did say his.
Oh, so
He is into wildlife photography.
That's Dave. Yeah, good pick.
Yes.
Nice.
So today's BA staff trivia answer is Mr. Dave Zimmerman. And
now, was the raccoon in the zoo, or was it actually his pet?
I understand he had a pet raccoon.
Wow. We'll have to talk to him about that one. The other ones I remember now.
Well,
yeah, good job.
Very close one. I think you were pretty close, but no score in this week's BH Staff Trivia. We are extremely pleased to be joined by grade 5 student Alice Christopher and her mom, Vanessa Warren. Welcome to episode number 5. How are you two doing today?
We're doing good, I think. Yeah.
We're hanging in, doing well.
Well, that's great. Thanks again for taking the time to speak with us today. Alice, I'm wondering, what is your favorite part of the remote learning so far?
In the remote learning, I like being on my own time, getting to knowing what I'm doing and getting it all done, and then adding on other things that are optional and fun. Yeah, I like.
Do you like the fact that you can have purple in your hair? Because I know the listeners can't see you, but I think we should talk about that a little bit, shouldn't we? Do you wear your uniform?
Not to school, no.
No.
I'll admit we did a bit of a try-on of a blazer the other day, and that was kind of exciting. But the purple hair, I'm sure will all grow out by September.
It looks good. It looks good.
Thanks.
It was kind of a pandemic treat. Ourselves, of course. It was a home job.
You need to do that. Other than your uniform, what do you miss most about being at BH?
I think I miss being able to socialize more. Like, it's great on Zoom, but it's nicer to be in real contact with people, be able to talk more face to face.
What's been maybe the most surprising or the funniest thing that has happened in your classes on Zoom so far?
I think I didn't realize the pets would be wandering around. So it was shocking when one day there was just a cat sitting in front of the frame.
Yeah,
It's funny what we can see, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we see people dancing because they have their camera on still, and that's great that you mentioned the pets wandering around.
We've had some guest appearances by younger siblings too, which have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and so do you think that you're learning more about your teachers too?
I don't know. Like my teacher, she's always in one room, so we don't actually see very much of her life.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's almost the same as being in a classroom where she's just there.
Yeah. Well, for me, my daughter, McKinley, she'll poke in on almost every class. So that does not happen at BH. But so maybe Vanessa, if I can ask you a question, what kinds of things have you really enjoyed seeing Alice and her classmates doing since we moved online?
Well, from where I'm sitting at the dining room table, I can see an amazing diagram of the digestive system. And so grade 5 have been rocking out body systems, pulmonary, circulatory. So I've definitely got a deeper appreciation of the large intestine than I had when all of this started. But like on a more serious note, it's been a real experience coming to understand how important faces and voices are. So Mrs. DeLand has been really amazing about recording audio feedback for her students. And I can see Alice light up across the room when she gets to hear that voice and really kind of retain that sense of connection. Yeah, so sure. I think I've learned about that as well. And that's really helped me to understand that kind of the way we communicate in writing is important, but it's not all there is. And so I've been really grateful for that.
It's a different sensory experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's made me think about how much of learning has to do with tone and with facial expression. So it's amazing that we have this technology. I just hate to think how much harder this would have been 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We and I think I mentioned it on the last episode, but John and I talk about the term reading the room, and teachers, all our BH teachers do that. And it's unless those cameras are on, and even if they are on, it's really hard to get a sense. And I think some of our middle school teachers a few episodes ago talked about that same thing.
Yeah,
being able to help and being able to react to students. So now everything has changed. How have you been able to help Alice with her classes? Or perhaps is there a couple of things maybe that you've learned from her?
Besides the workings of the digestive system, I've learned a lot about time management. She's kind of the first person in the house to be kind of dressed and sitting down and raring to go. So she's kind of helped discipline us, but well, I think that's partly her personality. I think that's all credit due to the junior school teachers who she's had. She joined BH in grade 1, and like slowly over time, she's just acquired more and more skills and discipline and resilience. And so grade 5 didn't know this test was waiting for them, that this adventure was coming. But I think we're like in an amazing position as grade 5 parents in that they're being not just so well supported by the school and by their teachers and their specialist teachers, but they've also been super well prepared for a challenge like this. So I'm not doing the heavy lifting. I'm not one of these parents who can claim that they're homeschooling. Like that's not happening at our dining room table. So I'm really feeling a lot of gratitude for not just like what's happening in the last kind of 6 weeks or so, but what's been happening since grade 1 to make this kind of possible. So that's been a great thing.
Well, that sounds great. Well, Alice, I know your teacher is listening. So is there anything you'd like to say to her?
Thank you so much for making this experience 100% easier than it would have been.
That's amazing. Well, I know, and I know she'll appreciate that. And I know that she enjoys every moment that she gets with, I don't want to speak for her, but if she's like most teachers and how we feel it's going, interacting with our students is what makes the day go by. So she's going to be thrilled to hear your voice. One last thing before we go, you're in grade 5 now. So why don't you, the last question, tell us, what are you excited about for grade 6?
One, I'm excited to get a laptop. I've been looking forward to that since grade 1. I'm excited to get a little more independence, have my classes, get to go places by myself, Yeah. And I'm excited to move up in the line and be in another, group of grades.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're ready.
Yeah.
For the next phase of your adventure.
Different part of the school, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, This has been great. It's been so fun talking to you both. I really want to take the time to thank you for joining us and sharing your story. And I'm really happy to hear that it's going well, and that so far you're making the best out of this very difficult situation.
I smiled the whole time that we spoke. So thank you for that.
Well, whether this makes it out or not, we just wanted to steal this chance to shout out, because we know all the teachers have lost their classrooms, and that's a huge loss. And not only were they like courageous and creative, but like they've just like not taken any time to kind of mourn that loss, and they've just dived in to keep junior school happening and to support the students. So we're just super, super grateful and appreciative, because we know that teaching from your dining room tables isn't easy, and it's a heck of a lot of work. And I think about all the extra time you're putting in. So thank you both, and everybody who's doing that work.
Well, thank you very much. That message is very kindly received.
And good luck with the podcast and keeping everyone connected.
We sure will, and make sure you guys keep listening.
Yeah, and thanks to the staff, Chris. We appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Goodbye, friends. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day.
Roast the host.
We're back with another round of Roast the Host. Last week, John, we both scored a point. You are leading 2-1. However, I still do have that 1 point that's pending the NHL's return. Think maybe today, why don't you ask me the question first?
All right. So I've asked you the history question. I've asked you the hockey question. There's one more domain, and that would be
chicken wings.
Chicken wings. Oh, we should do it. Okay, that's a good one. But no, I'm going to go to the world of psychology.
Okay, yes. Well, hey.
Your psych students are getting ready to write their AP exam, and I'm sure that they have often thought of this as you have. But who first framed the nature-nurture argument? Who framed it as nature versus nurture?
Well, that is definitely something you would think I would know. And who framed it? So this is a little bit tricky. We do talk about this in AP psychology. There's certainly a name we attribute. We actually move from nature versus nurture to the phrase nature via nurture, right, as they both interact.
Well, this is like back in the Darwin days.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we most heavily rely on Charles Darwin for our understanding of this, but that would be my guess, but I don't know if he came up with it.
Yeah, it's close. It's actually a relative of Darwin, and his name was Francis Galton.
Yeah, we do talk a little bit about Galton. Interesting. Good call. Good
there
pick.
It is. Yeah.
All right. No score for Mr. Williams on that, but I think I was in the ballpark, but that does
Definitely.
that is not the answer. So good. That was a good one.
It's a multiple choice type question, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely it is. Well, let's go to you. Let's see if you can stretch your lead here.
All right.
So I'm going to stay with literature. What literary great was the writer in residence at Ole Miss for many years?
I'm going to go with Faulkner.
William Faulkner, it is.
Yes!
Good job. That's amazing. I had a feeling you might get that as reading your face as I asked the question, and there was certainly some light bulbs.
Yeah, because of Southern, right? Southern U.S. literature, Ole Miss, that's, and you gave it away with literary great.
Well, that's it for Roast the Host this week as John stretches his lead to 3-1. This week on social media, we posted another check-in with the community question where we asked the listeners to answer a question like the ones we ask in class. John, do you have this week's question?
I do. You'd mentioned that we're on day 54, and you've pointed out how much time I spend at home. And so this week's question is about home. And I'm curious how people's sense of home has changed or evolved since this began. As you know, our students have very full lives where in some cases they're only eating and sleeping there. And they'll find themselves spending much more time. So how has your sense of home changed since this started?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great question. I'm really excited to hear the answers on that. And there are 2 ways that you could answer this week's check-in question. You can email your response to bhpodcast@balmoralhall.ca, or in the show notes, follow the link to Flipgrid and record a video, and we'll try to put on some of the best responses. As always, we want to hear from you. If there's trivia that you have that you'd like to help us with, if there's any comments or any topics you want us to discuss, please let us know by emailing us anytime, and we'll try to bring up everything that you talk about. As we end episode 5, we'd like to thank our guests for taking the time to chat with us again this week. Thank you to both of our principals for sharing some laughs with us from junior school, middle school, and senior school. Also, a great big thank you to grade 5 student Alice Christopher and her mom Vanessa for taking time and for bringing us directly into the junior school remote learning experience. A shout out, as always, to Mr. John Kerr for his insight, the laughs, and the company.
It was fun. Nice to be here.
And finally, a big thanks to producer Chris in the booth for always taking care of us and for laughing at our jokes even when no one else is. We'll be back next week with episode 6, where we'll tackle, see what I did there, a full episode dedicated to sports. We'll be joined by the BH Blazers hockey coaching duo, Sarah Zacharias and Regan Bolton. We'll also chat with junior school phys ed teacher Darlene Swenson on how phys ed learning is continuing remotely in junior school. Finally, BH sports captain Madison Allard will also stop by. That and more metaphors, stories, and fun. Thank you so much for listening every week. Until next time, friends.
Bye, folks.
3, 2.
What makes you say that?
What Makes You Say That is a Balmoral Hall School production, all rights reserved.